All right, people, I'm Dave, and this is The Radical Independent, the channel that isn't left or right or moderate. We are for big-time solutions. If you want to call me a reformed conservative who's now somewhat progressive or looks at things through a very independent lens, hence the name Radical Independent, thanks for supporting me. Don't forget you can support me through PayPal and also via Patreon. And I need the help. Yesterday I had a video completely demonetized. A video that had some really hard truth in it. So they don't like hard truth. I'm sorry. I work for a company. I provide content for a company that says they want to be my partner, but yet they make no attempt to partner with me. They don't tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can then correct my mistakes. Tulsi Gabbard here does the best political ad of the season thus far. She is the most viable candidate to beat Donald Trump in the general election. She would beat Trump in a landslide if she got to the point where she was the Democratic Party nominee. She would achieve many firsts in doing that if you're into that stuff. First woman of color, first woman who's also currently serving in the military. We could go on and on, all of the firsts that she would achieve. First Hindu. It's just incredible why the usual folks in the establishment, what I call the outrage or the warring class of people who just never stop being angry at Donald Trump, for instance, why they wouldn't embrace Tulsi Gabbard with a bear hug. But apparently they've decided that Elizabeth Warren, who I believe is the worst candidate to take on Donald Trump, they believe Elizabeth Warren is their candidate of choice. Again, this Ivy League mentality just rubs the working class folks in this country the wrong way. And as much as I have issues with Bernie Sanders, at least Bernie is speaking to working class problems and issues. And we've got to figure out what kind of country we are. Are we a working class country, or are we a bourgeoisie? We'll keep this part of the city gentrified, Mayor Pete. And then this other part over here, you won't have to see this blight and these homeless encampments and things. We'll make sure they're on the other side of town. We won't fix any of these problems. We'll keep them going so we can continue our political nonsense rather than fixing the problem. Best ad. Let's play this ad. I'm going to play a good portion of it. A couple of places in this ad that Tulsi Gabbard is on fire. And she's come back from her deployment very fired up.
I love our country. It's why I enlisted after 9/11. Why I've served as a soldier for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East, and serve in Congress now for almost 7 years.
This is also why it makes me so furious, truly furious, when we, as the most prosperous nation in history, responsible for 25% of the world's GDP, have leaders that look us straight in the eye and tell us there's just not enough money for better health care. There's just no money to make sure that our teachers are paid properly.
Now, a few weeks ago, I wasn't complaining, but I was talking about how Tulsi's message regarding foreign policy wasn't connecting with average Joes because she was talking about foreign policy. And the media class, the chattering class, they're all like, oh, well, people they're not going to gravitate to anything that has to do with foreign policy. Well, Tulsi Gabbard here does what needs to be done. She connects the dots. So this video, I think, is a great way to tell people, look, if you're concerned about your economic future, you really ought to be concerned with our foreign policy.
There's just no money to invest in protecting our environment and making sure that we have clean water to drink and clean air to breathe. And this makes me so angry because it is all a lie.
Unbelievable statement. It's all a lie. She's looking at the camera, at the establishment, and she's basically saying everybody is lying to you. Now look, I know she took the DNC pledge. I know what she had to do to run as a Democrat. And I understand that payback was coming because of what she did in 2016. And the fact that Bernie is still alive and well and doing very well, very good in the polls. The last video, he was leading in Iowa. All right. And I think he will win the Iowa caucuses. And I think Tulsi Gabbard may end up finishing like third or fourth in Iowa if things continue the way they are. And that's going to give her tremendous leverage, tremendous momentum. And when the people start to go around the process, and I've talked about this in a lot of other videos, when people start to circumnavigate, they go, okay, well, this CNN debate, I'm not going to watch it. Maybe I'll watch it, or maybe I'll get some highlights tomorrow. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to support Tulsi Gabbard. I want to know what she's going to do for the country. Even Bernie, when he went on The View, said that the whole thing is like a dog and pony show. You got 45 seconds to talk about health care. That's why the town hall he did on Fox News was so effective. The DNC did not want to do a debate on Fox News. I think Tulsi Gabbard should do some town halls. And from what I understand, I think some may be in the works.
Now, before you go off and assume, hey, she's just another Democrat in favor of unlimited spending with no regard for where that money comes from or how we pay for things, let me just say that's not the case. Our national debt is something that we all need to take seriously.
Now, that is something you'll never hear a Democrat candidate talk about. That you just won't. She's appealing. Remember, I always, at the beginning of doing these videos, I said, where did the Tea Party go? I mean, Trump got elected and the Tea Party folded like, again, a cheap suit. And it's really sad that fiscal responsibility from that baseline, from that point of view, isn't even examined anymore. And as somebody who wants to be fiscally conservative, in a sense, I do believe, though, we can spend our money much more effectively if we bring it home and we stop spending it abroad. That's really the solution to this problem. It's not like, oh, we need to cut more welfare programs. I mean, welfare isn't the biggest expenditure. It's not even close. So this is what people, both on the left and right, need to understand. They need to understand that it's the war machine that costs us so much money. And they also, those on the right, need to understand it's not welfare that's bankrupting the country. It's not all of these programs that we've set up to make people's lives better, to improve the quality of life. Those are things that people want. She's saying we have the best country, right? 25% of GDP, at least in that regard, we have the best country. But yet, we take that money, we don't reinvest it in the people. What we do is we send it overseas somewhere. And then she's not even talking about foreign aid here, or these so-called allied countries that we're giving a bunch of money to. Really ridiculous stuff.
The fact is, both parties have been reckless in allowing our debt to reach what it is now. But why I know that this is all a lie is because every month, every single month, this country is spending $4 billion on a war in Afghanistan. A war that was started in 2001, and by the end of this year, almost 20 years later, we will have spent roughly $1 trillion of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars on this wasteful, counterproductive war that's achieved nothing and has undermined our national security with no end in sight. So let me ask you this: how have the lives of the American people been improved by this war? Our wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and Syria have cost we the taxpayers over $6 trillion. Why is nobody talking about this? Why have I been repeatedly attacked for sounding this alarm and calling for an end to these stupid wars?
She just called the wars stupid. Bill Kristol right now is He's having some kind of a brain aneurysm. This, to me, is one of the best political statements that you can make right now. These wars are just stupid. They're stupid. Anybody with half a brain can see that this isn't helping anybody except military contractors and the subsidiaries and the little cottage industries that pop up around these contractors. But we have a war-based economy, and she's calling that out here.
As your president and commander-in-chief, I will end this policy that wastes trillions of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars while making us less safe. I know the cost of war firsthand. I'll make sure every single one of our veterans is treated with the care and respect that they have earned through their great service and sacrifice. As an American who loves the ideals enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights, I will fight to protect every single one of these rights and freedoms that we all hold so dear.
See, here's a president. That was a Freudian slip. Here is a president, I'm going to say it again, who threads the needle between the left and the right. Patriotism. She makes patriotism okay. Doesn't she? I mean, do you feel more patriotic watching this? I do. And it's not a bad thing. I don't understand why everybody is because of America's past or America's wrongs. But here's a shot of the Statue of Liberty. I mean, there've got to be a few patriotic Democrats out there. Libertarians, Green Party people. Yes, we need to change what's wrong with the country. But you can do it in a way that doesn't appear nasty. That doesn't, I always say this about Tulsi Gabbard. She's not a lunatic. She's not a lunatic. She's normal. She's a normal person that loves her country and wants to fix it. She wants to fix it. And I just don't know of anybody else on the scene that even comes close to what she's doing and what she's saying.
And while many of my fellow candidates will attempt to make this upcoming election all about Donald Trump, it's not really about him. It's about we, the people. It's about creating a brighter future for our country while never losing sight of the values and principles that truly make our country great. I'm Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm running for president. I'm asking you for your support.
Okay, so it's not about Trump. Oh man, the gang over at TYT, their heads just exploded. The entire premise of Joe Biden's presidential campaign, out the window. It's not about Trump. It isn't. It can't be about one man. It's got to be about the future. It's got to be about different policies. You may not like Donald Trump as a person, but there is a reason why he became president. Now, people were trying to reject the establishment. They were trying to check the box that said, you know what? I want to blow this up. I don't want to do the same thing that I've been doing. Hillary Clinton was more of the same. All right? And she ran one of the worst campaigns in the history of humanity. This assumption, this coronation, this idea of it's my turn, and identity politics, which again, Tulsi Gabbard stays away from that. And she's an identity politics dream. Okay? If you like identity politics, she's a bunch of different things that you can check off. For me, it's about the ability. Is she ready to be commander-in-chief? Yes, she is on day one. On day one. Who running is more qualified to lead this country than Tulsi Gabbard? I don't know anybody. Look, we tried the businessman thing, and he's running it like a ruthless businessman. That's what's happening. He's running the country for short-term gain, so his numbers will look good. This is what CEOs do. How do our numbers look, and how do the stocks look? And for the most part, the stocks are going up. I know they go down because of all this trade war stuff going on. But Trump's achieved what he wanted to achieve. I don't even think the guy wants to be president anymore. But he's just going to have fun with it, for the time he's got left, we need a serious leader who will go out there and fight for people who's seen how the sausage is made. Both here and abroad, she's seen how the sausage is made. And she's coming back to tell us that it's all a lie, the wars are stupid, and that she's not just about blowing up the debt, okay? And it's not about Trump. Game, set, match, Tulsi Gabbard. All right, best candidate out there, best political ad of the season. Watch it from start to finish without my silly commentary, and then share this and share the ad with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and if you can throw a few bucks my way via Patreon or PayPal, it's much appreciated. Again, I had a video completely demonetized yesterday for good. They reviewed it manually, and they didn't tell me what was wrong with it. They just told me it didn't meet their community guidelines. It's a great partnership I have with YouTube. It's a great way to communicate with one another. When you don't communicate, that's a recipe for really causing, I don't know, some physical pain. And not only that, just it's not a way to forge a working relationship. So I'm done with this one. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. See you then.